Good morning, everyone. It's a Saturday morning, and I'm jumping right back in. Okay, today on the list, I'm in the middle of working on setting up shopping cart plugins, and so this is kind of the counterpart. What we have is WooCommerce. I have a WordPress plugin on WooCommerce that I'll be modifying, and we'll make it work with this. But I created one that works with my WalkTheWeb site, but now I'm going to create it to work with this open source release. So then on the left-hand side of the bookends, we have this app, which I'm working on, which is taking all of the stuff related to shopping cart and moving it to a plugin so that I can tie the two together and be able to communicate back and forth between the two. So this one's going to be on the receiving end. The WooCommerce basically WordPress app plugin is designed to use the API from WooCommerce and actually send and allow the use of the different components of your products in your shop, all the products and all their information, including the pictures and pricing and descriptions and stuff. And then this side that I'm creating right now is the side that receives all that information, and then basically from there can show it in a 3D site. So we kind of tie the two ends together and create the conduit that allows that to happen by creating a plugin on each side using each technology. So today, basically, I'm jumping right in, and I'm still in the process of moving some of the things out of the core product and into a plugin, and I'm going to make the plugin open source too, so you're going to be able to get the plugin at any time. Okay, with that said, let's jump right into the code page, and we'll see what we can do here. Where I'm at is this. When I do a search across the site for 3D shopping, first of all, I took each one of these items and I moved each one of the JavaScript that were related to shopping cart and products, and I moved them to this JavaScript here and two different files. One is the core code, and then the other one is specifically about creating molds. So I have those things moved over, and they're all in place here. And when I did it, I renamed their function that they run under as WTW shopping. It's mixed case when it actually calls the object. And so what I did was I did a search across the code, and as I moved them, I would look for that function, and anywhere it referenced it, I changed it to use this WTW shopping. So then any place that's left in my code that's marked WTW shopping instead of WTW for WalkTheWeb means that it came from that JavaScript page. So now what I have to do is I need to make sure that each one of these functions, as they were called, have hooks in the code and can be added and executed from the other side. So what we're going to do is right here, this is the particular one. It's opening new mold. When you open a new mold, these two things take place if it's a store product, which means get products list, and it tells it what mold you're trying to put it on, and also get categories list, and it tells it what mold you're trying to put it on. That way we can test those pieces, and we can tell it to load up and do what they're supposed to do. So what we need is we need to actually build a hook, put it right here in the code so that when you open a new mold, it automatically knows how to work with the shopping cart parts, and I could pull these pieces out of where they are here. To do that, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create in here, first we're going to create a new function, JavaScript function in our shopping cart code. And we're going to name this one what was it called over there? Let's be consistent with what it was called over here, which is open add new mold. So I'm going to take that name, come over here, and I'm actually going to make it the exact same name so that from our code point of view, we know that mold was happening with this particular product. Now, the only thing we need passed into this section really is the mold name of what we're trying to process. So you can see how it needs the mold name passed here. I'm curious if we go to the top of this function, was there anything passed in? Mold group and shape. That tells it what to create. Mold group tells it if you're working with community building or thing. We have those pieces of information anyway. I don't think we have to worry about that too much. Open, add new mold. Okay, so we can pass this information into our function and allow people to use it. The other part is we particularly need the mold name that was created since it's a brand new mold. We do that. It's part of this function here. Mold ID, mold, Yeah, I know, here it is. No, that isn't getting it. Okay, there's an easy way to find out. Since this thing's passing mold name to our particular function here, let's highlight it and we can see add new mold. We have the mold name. Here it is. Mold name is being added right here, so we already know what the name is going to be. We already have the connecting grids that it's on and all the random pieces that belong to it. Because the mold name's there, we really don't need anything else. We have a function that breaks down the mold name and tells you all the other information. So if we pass the mold name to our function, we would get every last piece that we want in here. Then what we would do is on this part, I would just pass mold name, and we'll get to passing it in there anyway. But we're going to pass the mold name, and then we're going to do two things with it. First thing is we do not know what this particular this particular thing right here, shape, is coming through as. You know what? We're going to do it the easy way instead of breaking that down and doing all that stuff with it. Since we've already done it here, we're going to pass the same things that we passed here into our function. We will grab those in just a minute, but basically it's going to be those two items and mold name. Those will be the three things that we pass. And by doing that, makes it real easy on the other side, and it'd be real easy for anybody else working on this side of things. Okay, so those three items in, and all we have to do is if shape dot to lowercase, we want to check it in lowercase, equals, and then if it's a certain case, then we're going to tell it what to do. And here the case is store product. So we set it to lowercase is store product. Then we do this function, and it's really straightforward. The function is these two lines, and I'm going to cut them out because we're not going to need them there anymore. And also, well, actually, I'm going to put them back on there because I need to see the name of these items just a little longer. And then the mold name, we're just going to pass it this way because we just need to know what the mold name is. We do not need the whole format of how it got there. And those two functions would run on this particular piece here. Backing it up another step from here, I'm going to go back a step here real quick. Those are what we're going to pass into the function, and Okay, and now what I need to do is create a function that's going to actually run at that point in time. So we're going to go to our plugins. It's our plugins app, and we have these different functions that handle different pieces. So if I create a JavaScript function here that is based off of, which is based off of a particular, that's not going to be the function we use. We're going to use getScript function. This will be easier. GetScript function, and we're going to call it plugins. It was, I like to use the same name or as close to it as we can. Open add new mold. That's directly what it is, so we're going to be consistent with that. Cool. Okay, and here we go, the plugins. I'm going to name this the same name as the JavaScript that I'm putting it into, just so that there's some consistency with that. And we're going to put that right there. I don't think it has a return value. No, it's just executing a couple things. This is going to be, okay, like I have that in there. What I'm going to do is yeah, the way these look. We'll call this one open add new mold. That's just all lowercase for that. And then I'm going to pass through mold name. And up here, it's going to be the 3 values that we put into it on the other page. Jump back to here. It's going to be those 3 values in. Even though it says mold name, it is, oh, that's when we call it. Yeah, so these are the 3 values we want to pass into this function. Where am I at? That's the wrong page. I'm glad I didn't change anything there. Here it is. And it's going to be, instead of mold list, it's going to be those 3 values. It passes mold name into here, and then we run it. So open new mold name, and we're using mold name. Let's go back to here. Oh, I forgot to copy that name before I did it. So on here now, we are using this with those 3 names. And I'll jump back to here where it was calling it. And this will be WTW, this name, and then these 3 values, which are going to be as is for the first 2, and the mold name is actually this. That gets us everything we need to know to run this particular process and send it to the function, which means we can now delete out those. And now the last part is I need to tell it to add in here the script function. Notice open new mold, and I have to pass the mold name. Okay, so let's go to the function. I'm going to take that and all the way back to here. We add new scripts right in this section here, and where we have this one, put that name down there just so I have it. copy that, pass this, open that here, and the name of the function that we just wrote, which is in this here, open new mold, copy that, and its 3 values that go in are just as they stated on the outside of this whole thing, which is mold, shape, and name. Copy that to here, and we're passing those 3 values. Now we should have it. Okay, so when we create a new object, that should automatically run this function with those pieces in place, and it is embedded into the code where this was running before using this plugin function here. Okay, so that takes it a full trip around. Hello. Welcome on board. We're just the only person to use Notepad++. At least. At least I changed the background to black, right? I use Notepad++ because it's free, and anybody that's following me, watching me, or whatever else can use the exact same product, same way. So, yeah. And I did Visual Studio for decades, and so just wanted to change. Yeah. It's simple, it's easy, and you can color things different, and that's about the only thing. You can learn, Eva. Okay, so that takes care of that one. Now I have one more section right in here. Which one is this doing? And I think it's loading the exact same way. Let's see where this is happening. That's load mold form. Okay, that particular one, I'm trying to think of what it actually does here. When I load the mold form, then it runs this process here. Okay, so kind of the same idea. We're doing the same functions, get products list and get categories list. And it's based off of a value here, which is the mold name. So the easiest thing we can do is, I'll see, this allow search is also part. We're going to get a couple more fields here that are only part, in fact, we got this whole section here. We have the product, the slug, the category, the allow mold, the then these functions here. We have a few things that are related to this, and we'll be pulling them over into our code. That's not a problem. We'll get it all over there. These are more pieces that I have to pull over. So what we're going to do is, in this code, we'll put it right at the end so that all the functions that I do are first. But then this one, load mold form, we're going to go ahead and create another piece for this one, and then see if we can't pass the proper values and run this function. So we have our plugins. We're going to create another one. What we're doing is creating hooks into the code at different places so that each one can do their respective parts, and different plugins can take advantage and insert code at these same places that I'm doing it. By creating these hooks, the more hooks I create, the more places you can insert code into my code to intercept and add additional code wherever you need to for your code to work. So that's what we're doing, is building all these hooks. Let me do something real quick. Let's see. Okay, and prime. Okay. Let's see. Oops. Took it on the wrong keyboard. I got two keyboards here. Okay, 133. There we go. Okay, so let's get back in here. We have this code. We are inserting a new piece into our plugin, and this one's going to, yeah, oops. Open new mold. What I want to check is, let's get the name right. It's going to be load mold form. Jump back here. Ouch. Yeah, I know, internet issues, that's so interesting when they do that and stuff. We've occasionally had bumps on our internet here too, where it drops us off and then adds us back in, or starts loading and then doesn't, and then I've had some weird connection issues. It seems like whenever I see a truck out front that's my internet company to hook up somebody else in the neighborhood, they must bounce around some wires or something, because then all of a sudden it gets really, really weird for a couple hours until they leave and everything settles down. But it seems like every time they bump the line, next thing you know, I lose connection to the internet. So, okay, so this is going to be load mold form is the name of the piece. And the good news is I'm going to pass in this one. I only need the mold name at this point in time. If I decide to add some more pieces to it, I can. But technically, I only want to load the mold form, and when it runs, it's going to do this. So then, this is actually kind of cool, because the only thing I need is this load mold form, and we already have the function that runs these exact same two pieces. We have this function right here. Do I have, you know what, let me look. Would it be easy enough to add the, we already have different pieces here. Oh, it's going to need the shape. And okay, so let's just do and the group. We're going to know if it's a, do they have the mold group anywhere in here? Mold group, right there, mold group. Okay, we have all three values, so I'm going to pass them the exact same way so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We're going to do the same thing as this line. Because it's the same code I'm running on the other side, it's actually doing exactly the same thing. So we're going to click that here, and I'm going to pass in mold group, shape, and mold name. Now, take those three names, copy that, go back to over here, put them right there so it can pass in those values, and then we're going to take this name, and that's what we need to run in this place in the code, which is going to be right here. WalkTheWeb, this, and three different pieces. One's going to be the mold group, which we just saw right up. Mold group, which we set, so that's not going to be a bad value. Mold group, and then we need shape, which is if get mold group shape value, it's going to be that one. So we'll pass that value in here. And then finally the name, which is going to be this piece right there. And that should complete running this function with those values in place. And now, because that's in place, I can delete. Okay, notice that it's get products list and get categories list, which, just to confirm, we'll take those two items. Actually, let's just take the whole thing. and go over to our scripts code, which is the plugins. Okay, mold list scripts, mold. There it is, shopping scripts. And just to confirm, I'm going to paste it here just so we can double check. It is get products list by mold name and get categories list by mold name, and we are using the shape to decide if it's store product. Okay, that is the exact same function, so I don't need to write another function in my JavaScript. What does the sub button do? I haven't even looked at it, what it is. What is the sub button? And that also means I could probably use your help getting it. If I don't even know what it is, so that kind of sets that tone, right? Okay, so we're putting this together, and we have affiliate, you earn money from Twitch every month. Sounds good to me. That's what I'm working on getting. Right now I have 40 followers, and as soon as I can get... Oh, it looks like I gained somebody. I want to say... A day Amazon has followed. Okay, cool. Thank you for following me. I appreciate that. But yeah, that should be, I think we're 41 now. Is that what it is? 40, 41? Yeah, we have 41 followers. Awesome. Thank you. Whoops. Sorry. I just unfriended you and didn't mean to. So we're... Okay. There we go. But yeah, definitely I appreciate that. And we're 9 people away from affiliate. Yay! Getting closer, getting closer. Countdown, right? Okay, so that piece is in place. We can now take this over here. We removed it from the code there, which there's going to be more pieces that I have to pull because this allows search and stuff is all part of a form that I'm going to also move. So that is, just where it's at. And then that takes care of everything in that section. And now the next piece, let's see, on mold forms. Okay, this particular piece is something I need to move. Notice it has a product ID div, and then there's a product selection. Okay, this whole section right here is actually specific to if you're doing store products. And so when I move that, it's going to catch these 3 WTW shopping pieces, and that'll pull out the rest of it from the code so that all the JavaScript is self-contained in the plugin. So my whole concept is create the hook, move the code to the plugin, and try to keep everything intact when I do. So this piece here, we're going to put that, I gotta figure out where I want to put that, but I know in this particular file, I think I already have a hook. But I'm going to be a little bit more flexible of where, no, we don't even have a hook in here yet. Okay, that tells me, no problem, we will create a hook in this section here. And we'll do it near the top, not necessarily the top of the file, but yeah, we'll put it near the top so that, yeah, we have some type of organization. You can add different things. Hey. Thanks. Yeah, so what this is, just to give a 2-second overview. I don't want to take a lot of time with people that have already heard this, but you know how WordPress can create different things? WordPress actually, oh, and thanks for following me. I really appreciate that. That is so awesome. But okay, you know how WordPress, you can actually create a website and you use these plugins to add functionality to your website? Well, I took the Babylon gaming engine and I wrote the equivalent to WordPress, but for 3D games. So WalkTheWeb is like WordPress for 3D games. So now we're actually creating things so that you can create plugins of code and drop them into your different scenes. To do that, this is actually kind of cool, but let me go ahead and log in the My basic code includes everything you need for multiplayer. It has 10 different choices of avatars that you can use, and there's a lot of cool stuff here. And one of the things we can do, there's different ways you can come into the scene. You can set your colors for your avatars. You can set animations. There's almost 200 animations you can choose, including how you zap into the scenes, how you beam me in, or whatever you want to do. So it has all that kind of functionality. But a good example, I started building a building, and I don't think Eva's seen this yet, but we're going to call this Walk the Web Club, and this is where it's going to be a hangout for everybody. I took the idea from the from the book Snow Crash. So there was a domed building that everybody would go, and it was like a clubhouse for programmers and for a bunch of different people. But notice we have the full-on dome place here, kind of cool. And when you walk inside, one of the cool things about the book was, as you went inside, there were different sections of the club, and it was designed to be for different types of programmers or people that use the system or whatever. So what I did was I made sure that I had different levels, and we're going to put in couches and seats and tables and different things. But there will be a section for graphics artists and programmers, and then it'll be a section for animators, and then a section for users. So we're going to have all kinds of different areas in here. And if somebody wants something, they can actually walk in here, check it out, and actually bring in, they can actually come in here, meet somebody that they need if they have questions for them. This will kind of be the hangout where you can talk to the other people. But here's a part of it that I want to do. I'm throwing down a gauntlet, and anybody that wants to create something in Blender or don't worry about it, above your head. I'll teach you. I've got a doctorate in education, and I was the webmaster of County of San Bernardino for over 10 years. So basically, I've got a lot of background in programming and teaching and everything. Just hang out with us. You'll learn how to do different things. The cool part is you don't have to be a programmer, because you can actually create things directly in here. Like if I say I want to build a thing, I can create something, build it just by saying, put a box here, cut it out, use this texture on it, and we can actually create things in those areas. So the cool part is, once I'm in here, I can also detach from my avatar and take a bird's eye view. But check this out. We have a lot of different sections. We have a bunch of cool stairways to get up to the different areas. I built this in the past couple days. I did it all this week. I know you want dragons, and I was thinking this would be a good place to put a dragon. I'll think about where to place them, because I don't want to give away everything yet, but I think this would be a good room, because the idea is people can contribute different things to here, and it'll be part of who different peoples are. So the cool part is you can have a dragon, and it would be, hey, Eva's mark in this place. So yeah, definitely. And we're gonna do some animation. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna do a lot of pieces with this stuff. So, but this is one of the places I built in the past 3 days as a shell. We can put paintings up on the wall or pictures. We can decorate it. We can put animated objects in here. We can do anything. We can create an area where they play games. We can create an area that, all kinds of stuff. We can have all kinds of cool things in here. Ooh, and a lighthouse. Okay, we'll get some lighthouse action going in here someplace. Even have a lighthouse on the outside of the building, maybe. Who knows? But we're going to keep on building up a scene and do different pieces. I haven't built the ground scene yet, so we'll create some random island here in the next couple weeks. And I'm just going to keep on adding to it little by little. And as you guys want to create items, we can throw it in here too. But this is kind of a cool starting point for us to create, bunch of stuff in a scene. So I spent a little time in Blender, and then all I had to do is, with a couple steps, drag and drop it right in here. Cool, anime style characters. Yeah, we can create a plugin for that and actually do different characters that do it. There's another thing. What was the name of that site? Let me think. Maximo. Is it Maximo? I want to say it was Maximo. Let me see if that gets me the place. That's what I wanted. Okay, so just so you know, this Maximo play, or Miximo. I spelled it wrong. No wonder I couldn't find it. I don't need to show my login to do the login, I don't think. Let me just continue and continue. Not now. Okay, just so you see this is actually kind of cool. Miximo, yeah, you got it. You knew it. Okay, you can come in here and you can pick from characters. Now notice, if you look hard enough, there's this guy. There's, I think, AJ there. Or Jasper, sorry, Jasper. I've used some AJ before, but these are all royalty-free characters. I've used this one. We have this one. That's, the character I'm walking around with right now. The cool thing is these are all free characters, royalty-free, and we can use them in our scenes. I've checked out everything. Notice our man there, and we also have the woman character. Where is it? Well, there's a bunch of them in here. But yeah, we have the woman character in here. There's a whole bunch of them. But notice all these other characters. We technically can use any of them. So we can totally pass in and get a choice of all these other characters. Now, what I wanted to do was I put 10 of them in the original scene, but we can actually create a plugin that lets you add additional characters. Yeah, this isn't the dragons, but this is just the avatars themselves first. But notice there's all kinds of cool ones. I mean, some are less than human and some are human. But they have all kinds. They have zombies. They have, all these different pieces. So you can pretty much choose whatever character you want. And then notice there's animations here. You can tell it to do any one of the animations and styles and things. And we can search for them. Well, anything that's here, we can actually load up into our system. These animations work with just a little bit of work. We can put them right into the system and use them in our sites. So this is a cool place that becomes a really cool extension of the different pieces that we have. Okay, so we have, things like, hey, jumping down, and we have praying, and we have samba dance, So we have all kinds of cool stuff. We can use any one of these characters and any one of these animations. We just have to tie them into the system and tell it where to use it and, what we want to do. So it's pretty cool. We'll be able to take advantage of this, and we'll keep adding them in. The ones that I want to do next, in fact, is I want to add things that let you go from standing to sitting. So we'll have one where you actually come over and sit down, things like this, so that we can have people come up to chairs and sit down. There's some of them that do not have the movement attached, so they stay in one place. But we'll get into that stuff. I'll go into that in the next, week or two. We'll get into those different pieces. But see, there's from standing, gonna sit, and then there's also if you're sitting and you need to stand back up, we'll have some of these pieces in place. We'll have different kinds of sittings so that you can move from one to the other, and you'll actually be reclining opposed to just sitting. There's a lot of cool stuff, but we can pick from any of these items. Anything that you want to search for, we can pull, and then we can load these animations into our scenes. And I'll teach you how to do all that stuff. And the stuff that we do not have programmed into this CMS that I wrote, this, content management for games, anything that's not written in here, we'll add it. So we want to make these items work. We want to keep on jumping in and doing different things. But we're getting there. We are getting there. One thing at a time. We just keep adding them. And like I said, we're making it a full gaming platform. The idea is this. Let's say you want to make a miniature golf game. Well, the idea is you could create just the game, and then anybody that has a scene can just drop your game into their scene. Now, if you create the scene and you give them certain, let's say, you can do a 3-hole golf course for free, but if you want the 9-hole golf course, then you got to pay this price to add the extra functionality. That's the kind of cool stuff that you have that we can do. But yeah, so we just keep on building on it, keep adding to it, keep throwing different pieces in here. We can create anything in Blender. We can create things natively in this program, and you can create anything from Babylon directly. So when you come over here, babylonjs.com, and you see these different demos, featured demos and stuff, any one of these items, we can even click on more, anything that they can do in Blender or Babylon, we can do because that's the engine I used. So you can natively write in Babylon, you can do things in Blender and import them to Babylon, and we can do things natively in my program, which doesn't require programming. It allows it, which is awesome, but it doesn't require programming. So I'm trying to make things that people at all levels can actually use. But notice we have things like bowling. We have all kinds of cool demos. Here's one of my favorites. I like the marble tower because it uses gravity and it shows you all the marbles and everything else. But these different items, this is just a concept to tell you what you can do. But then my program brings it all together because you got the Babylon engine, you have Blender that imports to it, and then you have all these things that you can create natively using my CMS. And it kind of assembles it all into one. But notice even in this thing, we've got this whole marbles that drop and they fall in different areas, come on down and they drop off into different areas. We have them spinning into this section down here. We have spinning up in here where gravity takes place and they all just slowly drop through and go to the different random places. Some come out over here, some spin the wheel. So by dropping onto the wheel, it spins the wheel this direction because it's off-centered. But this is some pretty cool stuff. This one decides which direction they fall so that some go this way and every other one goes this way. That's some cool stuff. Whoever designed this, it's a really cool app. It even has a little turning knob on the top to make it look like you hand cranked it up. Well, I'm working on it, but one of the things we're going to be able to do is, you see how, first of all, you have a scene. We already have the scene in place. But I want to do it where if you just took this code right here, picked up everything here from their playground, and without the return scene, you don't have to do that either, and drop that into my site, I want to make it work. And I know how to do it, so we're heading there. We'll get that working. It'll be there very soon. And then you're going to be able to just create things even in the playground, copy and paste it, and drop it right into scenes. Then this object would be there, and you can move it around and place it anywhere in the scene and scale it and all kinds of cool stuff. So I'm going to make it that easy for you. That's one of my goals, and that's the kind of stuff that we can add to any scene, any building, any anything that we want to do. But that's the whole concept, is we're making a CMS so that you can assemble games. But then think of it this way. When somebody like AE makes a game, they have hundreds of programmers. Each person works on one detailed part. They all throw it together. Well, what I'm doing is I'm making it where all the developers in the world can create these little parts, and then we have the platform that allows you to throw them all together. So if you're great at making cars, you could be the car manufacturer. You make some awesome cars. Let's say you let them drive the Jeep for free. But if you want somebody to get in the passenger seat, or you want to drive the Ferrari instead, maybe they unlock it by paying you a fee. Or they do a subscription to keep it unlocked over years or whatever. That's the kind of stuff. I want developers to be able to make money and contribute to creating different parts of gaming scenes. If you are awesome at making avatars and animation, you could have a plugin that adds more avatars and adds more animation. And anybody that hosts their own site, because this is all open source, you can download it, you can host your own site. You could say, oh, I want this plugin, and now I have more avatars. I want this plugin, now we can drive cars in my scenes. I want this plugin, now we have spaceships. That's the kind of stuff that I want to see created. That's the kind of stuff that I'm, just making sure that it works and supports all those different types of functions. So that's what we're building. That's how we're doing it. And I'm just coding away, making it happen. And anytime you need something, by following me, one of the things that's going to happen is anybody that follows me, you guys are my priority. When you need something, I'm giving you first priority, and you're going to be able to, I'll work with you. We'll be able to create things. If you need something in the main code for your stuff to work, then you're my highest priority. I'm going to take care of you first. So that's the kind of stuff we're doing. But yeah, so follow me, friend me, whatever, and basically that's how you're going to get it. I'm on here most days, so you can find me right here at WalkTheWeb.tv, which is Twitch TV/WalkTheWeb, same thing. They'll get you both to my page either way. And so, okay, let's keep on going. I'm going to jump back in the code side, and we're in the process of, just like I said, this is a CMS. Anytime I right-click on an object when I'm in admin mode, it gives me this page up here where I can change different items, and I can show or hide depending on what they are. I can tell it which pieces to show so that I can edit and change this piece. Notice, for example, if I shrink this by 1 by 1 by 1, notice everything became smaller in here. This is all part of the scaling that I did. There's also, you can set the position, so you can make it up, down, left, right, whatever you want to do. It's all 3D dimensions. And you can also rotate things. So, you know, we can totally do any one of these things, make it all work for us, whatever we need it to do. There's textures tied to certain objects. There's we can do bump maps and textures. There's advanced options on some objects. You can tell it when to load and how. You can attach sounds, which are 3D sounds. So if you had headphones on, you can actually use the headphones to hear where it is and turn towards it. It's all in 3D. But all this kind of cool stuff is part of our interface. So whenever you edit an object, the screen that it brings up is actually this piece right here. So we were editing an object there. But if it was a store product, which is for 3D shopping and stuff, then it brings up this section in here. Well, in this case, I need to take that section and I need to pull it. And I'm going to make it part of the store plugin so that if you're not doing the store plugin, you don't need to load this. That's only going to be for people that are running actual stores. Okay, we're going to take this section. Okay, what I want to do is let me first look in my plugin, and I want to see where the best place to put this code is. We have different functions. The main one, shopping stores. This one is delete store. Oh, that I know what that is. That's from our, whenever we do a interaction with the database, that's the function that does it. This is our main class that's actually telling us which pieces to load in all of our hooks. So it tells it where the hook is and to put it in place. And then I have these pages here that tell it it's code that gets inserted into different places. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy one of these little functions, and we're going to scroll down to the bottom just so that we're not interfering with anything else we've already done in here. And this particular one is going to be mold page. Let's do edit mold page because there's more than one thing. But edit mold page is what we'll call it. And that's my structure of it. And now what I want to do is I'm going to kind of just open this up. Take the section that I had in the mold page here, and I'm going to pull that out of there. I'm kind of leaving the place because I want it to be somewhere near there that you can insert things. I may just make it at the top of the file so that depending on what you're adding, you can actually be right at the top above or below the dimensions of where you're setting it. It might be... I'll think about where I'm going to put it in just a minute. Let's first finish adding it to the page. Okay, so we have this, and now I need to use this notation. I'm turning it into a variable instead of HTML directly. So let's go for every line, add this at the beginning of it just so that it knows to create this variable of whatever this code is. That way we're doing it in PHP level instead of HTML level. Not a big deal. We do it all the time. And then at the end of every line, I'm putting this. The /r/end actually give us a new line in code, so that takes care of that piece of it. Don't worry about the I'm not done. So you don't have to worry about the fact that it's doing some weird stuff at the end of the lines. That's next on my list. We'll get these all in place first, and then we'll look at what the ends of the lines are doing. And, oops, one more. Okay, so because of this, what we have is double quotes on the ends of the lines telling it that this is the item that we're putting there. You have to use escape, which is the / key, to tell it to not process the double quote. That will make this all a string value, which now can be passed to our code. And we're just doing this on each one of these pieces. Okay, I'm moving it as is right now because this is actually what we're going to dump out on the page exactly as it was before. We're going to put it right back on the page and make it work. So from here, we're just doing the escape characters, getting them all into place. Notice the great part is the color on the page tells me exactly where I left off and where I didn't finish. So it kind of identifies where I need to do this. And we're getting all of them. As long as you escape them all out, then they all work in place as is. They'll be printed into the HTML when I dump this piece on the page. And there. Okay, and a little bit more here. A little bit more here. And another one there. And let me double check, make sure I got them all. Okay, if there's no discoloration, it means my colors picked up everything. And that all worked. Now what I do not need is my template piece here. And this is what it's going to do. So when I call this function, edit mold page, it's going to give me this piece of the form. And I'm going to need to spit that out on some page. To do that, I have a function that I've written already, so we're going to look at the functions. Oops, sorry, don't need to go there just yet. We're going to be putting it in there. That's not the page I need right now. Plugins. Now, in here, we have the script functions, add mold def. There's different pieces for different ones. And I don't think, let's see if we have it. Let me go above this script piece here. Add script function and plugin scripts. Add script. Okay, I do not think we have this particular one in place yet. If we do, it might be part of our knit session. Let's see. This is going to be in our admin section, so I don't think it's in that file. I think it is. I could do a search, but I'm basically just locating something here. Okay, let's get those pieces out of the way. Under our core product, okay, we don't need that one right now either. We have functions, and one of them in particular is the admin function. Okay, full page divs, admin forms, admin submenus. Okay, I did not create one that does a part of a form instead of being the whole form, and because I didn't create that yet, we don't have a proper wrapper that would save this and store it into our page. So the next part we're going to do is we're going to create, we're going to call it, instead of admin forms, we're going to call it admin divs. Because a div to me is a section of a page where a form would be the complete form that you're filling out. So in this case, it's going to be just a div section of the page. And then when we have this admin forms, there's a couple functions where I use this. And we're going to create the same type of forms down here. Ah yeah, CD Trader, I know you have your dragon. I know you found your dragon. Actually, let me click that on my other machine here. Okay, that's just the head, or is it the whole thing? Oh no, that's the whole thing. Okay, I see. I see. We'll get you a dragon in there. I'm not letting go of that subject. You know, you've been good to us since day one. I'm going to take care of you on that. We're going to take care of a dragon. We're going to get that very soon, and it's going to be placed in this building where we're at right now. It's going to be in our place here. So I'm going to give you a real prominent place. We're going to have it in here, and yeah, we're going to have a dragon in here. So you don't have to worry about that. I got you covered. It'll be the pet dragon that watches this place, right? It'll be the guard is what we'll do. We'll make him the guard. Oh, I didn't bring it up on this screen. You can click her link. Oh, okay. When you bring up that page, it should show the dragon. There's a bunch of pictures. It starts with the head, but if you click the different pictures, you can see the rest of the dragon. Is that the dragon you like? Okay, I'll bring him up on here, so if anybody's having trouble seeing it, we're going to bring him up here so you can just take a peek. This is the dragon that you found, and notice it has some really cool effects. Okay. I didn't lose the other one that you sent me the other day either. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And that's the idea behind the design of it. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I think you need more colors, little subtle colors in there. We'll see. We'll see. We'll get you going. We'll get you with the cool one. I know we're going to take care of you on that. Okay. I know I'm switching between machines here. Awesome, awesome. Okay. And here we go. Okay, so what this has done, oh, I unselected it. Hang on. Let me click on, I'm looking for where I've used this admin forms because I want to design the functions the exact same way I did those and call it admin divs, but they're not going to have the wrapper around it. That's the biggest part. Those are designed to automatically collapse and change the place on the menu. Okay, there's an easier way. I didn't see it here. Find that, find all. It may be in the plugins because that's where you would actually do this. And, oh, admin menu. Wait a minute, I did it twice. We did it in WTW admin, which is where I'm at, and then we did it in WTW admin menu. This particular one, it's not needed in both. When I call admin forms, the only place I'm using it is in that page. This particular one isn't used. Okay, we're going to move them all to the same place. That's a correction in the code. And this is where we are running the actual pieces. So we're going to do admin divs here. And this is what I was expecting, is that in admin menu, this is where we're actually creating the menu. So this makes more sense that it's hidden in here. And find all. Now we have it only in this file. That's what I was looking for. And notice we have get admin forms menu, and then we have also, that's the forms. For each form we have admin add admin form, so you can add one in there. And then we have, so we have it where you add them in, and then we set it where you can get them back out. Okay, so these are the two functions that we need to imitate, and then we're going to actually create them in the div sections and be able to call them from our code. So let's see, the first thing we want to do is copy, add admin menu form, and We don't need a title. We just need the form data, and access required is good. I like that. That would be pretty good. So we're going to start with this one here. We'll create both of these, but of course one at a time. And instead of add admin menu form, we're going to say add admin menu div, just for our naming scheme. Cool. Cool. Hang on to that dragon model because let's say Monday. Monday when I'm on, follow me on there. I mean, get on there on Monday, and I'm going to take you through taking something like that, bringing it into Blender, and actually being able to export it into Babylon. So download Blender if you haven't. Otherwise, I'll talk you through it. We can get it going. We'll get you going with Blender, the whole bit. But I want to show you how to do it because I think you're going to be really good at it. Okay, so we have this new function here. I'm going to create that there. And instead of a form ID, we are going to be working with the div ID. So I'm going to change that. Copy that. We have form ID here. We're going to change that, and it's going to be div ID. The next part is there is no title because all we need is the div added. So title is gone. We can get rid of that one. And then we have form data and access required. I kind of like those ones. And instead of admin forms, this is going to be admin divs, which is our new function, our new array that we just built. This only gets used when it assembles the page and puts it on the page. Once it's created, it actually just throws the HTML to the page. So it's actually pretty quick by the time you get to that point. And instead of calling that Z form, we're going to call it Z div just for consistency. That's what we're building is a div, so we'll make it div. We'll call it, instead of form data, we're going to call it div data. Copy that to there, and we'll call it div data here. Yeah, basically that just gives us a little bit of a format. That creates the piece. Also form ID, that's going to be div ID here. It's looking to see if it already exists, and if it does, then it won't create it a second time, but if it hasn't created it, it will add it. So that's kind of what this function up here is doing. So if it's found, if it's not found, it adds it, but it doesn't allow it to run it twice. So you'll never get it added twice to a page because of the div name. That's the whole important piece. As long as the div name is unique, it will be put on a page. The other part is, I think we need one more piece here, and it's going to be the actual list that you're working from, the location that it's going to be. So I'm going to call it list. Or actually, I could actually call this form. Form. I'll do form location. Form location is going to be where it puts it in the page. And the reason I'm putting a form location in here is because that way I can use this one function, use it in many different places, but then each one can be placed into a different form as we're going and stuff. So that will allow us to decide which list this piece gets put in. So if 20 people need to add, or 20 different plugins need to add items to this section of the menu, then they can all do it. It'll just be different. It'll be named by the menu location where you're trying to put it in. Okay, so we have form location. We're going to copy that and drop it here, and we'll call this form location there. So we have the model set up. We have it all putting it in place. Now what we want to do is the same thing we did. This one created the admin menu form when you want to put it on a page. And in our case, we're going to create that here, and it's going to be a function that we can run to put the div on the page. And so we're going to say get admin menu divs. Was that a function? Yes, forms. Okay, so divs. We'll take that and we're going to put it here. First thing I'm going to do is convert this over so that we're using our correct items. We have the divs here. Then we are getting, instead of z form, we need to get the z div. So that will be here, 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 and here. And we'll change those names in just a second. Well, actually, we'll do them now. And the other part is the way it lays out down here, we are only going to throw the form data in place, so none of this is actually going to be in place down here. The only thing we have to do is the data. We're not creating... Yes, we are. We are doing it by the ID because I only want that ID to show and hide when I tell it to. Okay, so we are going to control the ID so that they don't end up using duplicates on a page. So this is div ID. And we will put that, I know form ID was used in a number of places. We have z form ID here. I'm going to switch all these over first, just so that we have some type of format on it. Make sure none of them were used out in that end. Okay. Access required. It only allows it if the access was required, which is kind of cool. Instead of form data, which is here, we're going to call that div data. Copy that. And it's going to go here, here, there, 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 and there. Yeah, we're getting it all in place. We're getting it all in place. And then the other part is we're going to pass in the value of this form location. And this form location, we're going to check that when we are cycling through this admin divs. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to check the div. We're going to add that in here. First of all, it's div ID, and then access required, and we do not have title. I'm going to put them in this order just because. In here, div form location, I need a different variable because I'm going to compare it against this one. And we're doing form location. Bum, ba-da-bum, bum, bum. We could call it div location, but that's fine. That's fine. We're going to add what's in the name. Okay, so we have this information. We grab it in here. Then the first thing we're going to do is if, once we have that piece, if this equals the form location that we're calling when we call the function, then we do the rest of this. Okay, that will get us this main piece here. Instead of menu form, we're going to call it div once again. Menu divs. And it's more than one, that's why we did the plural. Because we are actually converting, we're bringing them all together and loading them into the page whenever you call this particular function. That'll get us all these various pieces. And thank you for following me. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm creating our stuff. I'm creating a 3D version of basically WordPress. So you can do it with games, create plugins, make money at being a developer, programmer. People that aren't programmers can still use it and create their inventions. So thank you. Okay, and we have these different divs that it's creating. We have the div ID, and what I want to do is we're going to make it, we need to have it in a way that we can hide them and only show them when we actually need to show them. So there's a little bit of a trickiness to this. I could I could set it up where it doesn't do the ID, it doesn't show it on the page, and we just give them whatever they actually put in their site. A little bit more flexibility because you can tell it the initial condition, if it's always showing, if it's not, and I can put that in the developer's hands. So I'm not against that, especially because we do not need this back. We don't need a title in here. If I did nothing but this piece here, where I'm pulling the div data that you told it to put on the page, this should actually work for putting it in the page and making it function, as long as we have the permissions, of course. If has permissions, okay, or blah, 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 blah. Okay, so if it doesn't have permissions, then we don't have to worry about it. And that's all loaded. This looks pretty good. I think we have the piece we need, which is, first of all, in our admin menu, we're going to call this piece here. And we need to set up one for, okay, 3D shopping. Remember, we created this section, but we didn't tie it to anything. So up here, when I tell it add scripts, we have different hooks. Here's all of our plugin hooks, and we're telling it to load menu forms and different pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to create, I'm going to do the call that adds this to the, oops, got a hyphen in there. It's going to add this piece to here, and now I need to tell it which ones I'm working with. For div access required, this is anybody that is building buildings. So here we have admin, developer, and architects. So I'm going to put that here. And of course there's a semicolon at the end of the line. The next part is our div data, which we are pulling from that box that I just created at the bottom. This is our form data. We could call it div data because that's technically what it is. Edit mold page, that's the piece we're calling. And I'm going to go back up here, call it right here. And it's on the same page, so it's this reference to itself. Did it do it? There we go, edit mode page. Oops, don't need a semicolon. That gets us our data that we're importing into that particular page. Now the ID that we're going to use, I want to keep it consistent so it knows the ID of the item. I called it right here. But I'm not getting in the business of telling it when to show and not. I'm going to let that be up to the person. If they drop it in a scene and it's always there, they can choose to hide and show it when they want. I just need to know this name so that it doesn't get added twice to a page, basically. My code won't automatically add it twice to a page, but when people are building plugins, you never know what they're doing or how it's going to end up running. So we're going to put that there. And finally, this piece is the name of the area that we're working in. And since where I'm inserting this code is on the edit mold piece, I'm going to name this edit mold. Now that I have this piece in place, if I go back to my menu, admin menu, or actually, I'm sorry, mold page, all I have to do on here, first thing we're going to do is, let's see, do we want it at the top? No. You know something, the first thing I like to see when I'm working on this stuff is I like to see the position, just so it's consistent, position, scaling, and then rotation. So if I leave those pieces in place, then the next place where you would put something is actually right here. So here is where I'm going to, for now, until I decide differently, this is where I'm going to insert the code that we just wrote. And all it's going to be is echo, and well, there's going to be 2 lines of code. We're first going to need to global and WTW plugins, and that one's already loaded. So plugin, or wait a minute, I'm sorry, it's not plugins, it is admin menu. Is it admin menus or admin menu? Admin, where was it? It's admin menu, singular. Admin menu. Okay, then if we run this here, and the name of our function from that particular page is this get admin menus piece, and we put that out of the page I just had open, mold page here, and then the name of the list that we're doing, we called it edit mold because that's what this particular page is. And there we go. That will put that section of the code into this page. Now, it's not going to be there on every line of code because, or every time I open this part of the form, because this particular piece of code that we put in here starts off hidden, and it only adds that section, shows it on the page when it's available. So there's going to be some things in here. But the main part is if we can run the page and it doesn't break anything, then we already know that we're in good shape, that it was able to add the piece that we needed. Okay, we loaded the page, we're able to do it, and let's see if our functions all work. If I right click something, then we're editing it and it didn't break this page, which is the main core about what we wanted to make sure we're doing. And like I said, unless we had a shopping cart item, which we're not ready to add one to a page, so that's the reason I didn't do that. Don't worry, this load mold count, I'm already on top of that. We just moved it to a different form, and because it wasn't that form, it didn't get loaded. But we're going to move that piece of code next, so we don't have to worry about the error that it just popped up. That's the next piece we have to do. But on this timing here, we finished the whole process, and so I know it's been a busy day and everything else, but I have to get someplace today. So I apologize for having to drop out from you here, but I want to thank you for visiting and hanging in with me today. I will be back again tomorrow or Monday or whatever. Just follow me and you know when I'm on. I'm on most days, so definitely check it out. And I appreciate you following and hanging out with me today. But yeah, we'll keep on going. We'll keep on building. Feel free to check out some of these different sites. Check out what Babylon can do. Check out Mixamo. Check out any of these places, any of these 3D models. Blender, which is a free program, you can learn that too if you like. There's all kinds of cool tutorials and stuff. But Blender, Babylon, every one of these pieces, any 3D modeling app can be loaded into Blender. Blender can be exported to Babylon, which means you can take these items and put them into scenes just by dropping them. So find your items, build them yourself, whatever you want to do, and we will keep on working on it, and we will keep adding things to scenes so that everybody can create different pieces to put inside of these 3D scenes. Pretty cool though, pretty cool. Okay, I want to thank you for joining me. This is the building, this is the start of our clubhouse. We're going to make it a nice club to hang out and to meet each other, and it'll be a nice cool scene by the time we're done. We're going to work on some landscape for it. We're going to create a whole scene for it. We're going to be dropping different things in here, and Eva, yes, we're going to get your dragon in here. It's going to be a place where it's everything you guys make it and want it to be. Dropping down the gauntlet to learn the other code and to join in and to add things to this scene. Make something, put it in here, throw it in here. I'll work with you to add them to the scenes, but definitely really cool start. And thanks again for watching me today.